Left is Mr. Gurpreet Singh. Mr. Gurpreet Singh. He is the president of the Institute for Sikh Studies in Chandigarh. Next to him is Mr. Anandveer Singh Attari from the illustrious Attari family. Next to him is Mr. Gautam Srivastava. He is the driving force behind this exhibition and also the founder of the Gurgas Foundation. And right next to him is Ms. Laila Vijitya, the backbone of this organization. She is together and the success is all around them. May I now ask Mr. Anandveer Singh Attari to kindly address the conference and just let us know a little bit about Sikh history and so on.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice one thing. The period which these pictures cover is a very poignant sort of time in Indian history. India has been defeated. The English have come from Madras all the way right up to the north. Only thing left is Ranjit Singh's kingdom. And here we have fought 5 wars with them in the first Sikh war, 5 battles, and they haven't been conclusive. The battles have been technically lost because of the treachery of the Sikh generals and others. But there never has been a defeat of sorts. But even that is not enough. Now we have a second Sikh war. The second Sikh war has been carried on by Sardar Chhattar Singh Attariwala and his son Raja Sher Singh. And of course, not to forget Raja Diwar Mul Raj. And they have defeated the British. First at the Battle of Ramnagar, then at the Battle of Chilliwala. I was explaining the story to my dear colleague earlier, that the Battle of Chilliwala was fought at the same spot as Alexander defeated Porus. The English had the advantage of the field. And yet, there were so many casualties that next day, there were headlines in London saying 2,700 widows in London alone, 7,000 children orphaned, greatest defeat of British arms by native troops. And that was the day, it was the opening of Parliament. And that day, by accident, the Duke of Northumberland, who was carrying the crown to complete the ceremonies, he fell, the crown fell, and every member of the House of Commons shouted in one voice, India lost. That was the impact which was made by Sardar Chhattar Singh and Mr. Raja Sher Singh. Now, gentlemen, what we are coming down to is that because of this Gulam ki salam hum nahi karenge, this attitude, you find that the undefeated Sikh, he has been portrayed in many places, but never with a humble mien. You notice the beauty of all these paintings. Each one, he has his own dignity, and he keeps his head high. He's not like that little native, who you see sitting in the background or something like that. This is something which the English did not want to portray us as. But that is why you had Mr. Gautam Srivastava going and finding all these wonderful artists from Japan to America to France to Australia and from all over the world to put this collection together. And he has sort of tried to portray to us this most crucial period of history. You have the Sikh Wars, the last empire left in India. You have the mutiny has taken place. The soldiers who have fought, don't forget one thing, that you may not have had newspapers and TV then, but Mecca was the greatest dissemination spot for news. Every pilgrim used to move from here to Mecca. From Mecca used to go all over the globe. The one thing which Raja Sher Singh did at the Battle of Chilliwala, he shattered the myth of the invincibility of British arms. Afghans are fighting with the British, and the entire turmoil of British, the first bullet of the demise of the British Empire was fired after the Battle of Chilliwala. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I can only say, don't listen to what I have to say, please. Just look into these paintings, and they will tell you the story of their own. It is for you, Anji, and Mr. Gautam Srivastava, Anji, to now find your own meanings for all these gentlemen who have found eternal repose in these canvases.
Sir, after a while, if you don't mind.
We'll just finish and then come around.
Gautam, of course, here has thanked Guru Nanak Dev Ji and the Sikh community and the artists. I would first like to thank Gautam for having got us this exhibition here and bringing it to Chandigarh. possibly taking it further to the Punjab, which we have spoken about a little earlier, to other cities in Punjab, so that the people of this region get attached to their history, to their culture, and like my older friend here and brother Anandbir said, that what they project is that anak is a bad word I suppose in Punjabi because it actually borders on pride. But the man, the pride that we have for our guru, it exhibits in the face of the Sikh person. So like we were always meant to be, we were brought up as a sovereign person, whether it was a Sikh man or woman. As a matter, woman reminds me, I was being taken around and Gautam showed me a painting of a Sikh lady from Amritsar, done by I forget the name of the artist. And which he said, now look at this lady, there is no parda in her. She is looking straight at you. And that is what we expect our ladies also to be, and they have been. The role that the Sikh lady has played in the past, plays today and possibly will play in the future, is of this same sovereign person, and that has been exhibited here in all these paintings that these foreign artists have done. And therefore, I suppose the grandeur automatically sort of emanates from that, that feeling of being a free person, a free spirit. We are spirit-born people, so you exhibit that. In turn, the internal part of it then gets exhibited, manifested in your persona, which is what I think you will notice, or these artists noticed probably when they painted the Sikhs. So. Very, very grateful to him. Of course, this is our history, this is our culture. Through this exhibition, we hope that the Sikh youth and the people of the Punjab and otherwise, probably all over the world again, should come in and see what was the history. We were having a little talk in Delhi last week, which I said, if you don't say it, I will say it. And I am going to say it, that the character of the Sikh that was there when these paintings were made, why can't we achieve that again today? It is unfortunate that I think we have fallen a little bit. I appeal to the Sikh to again get attached to the Guru and get those qualities back in you, get your character back, so that even today, the artists of the world, the Occidental romance should continue. It must continue because I think that should be our endeavor, and especially in this 550th birth anniversary of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, I think we should project to the world what we actually were and are. And thank you so much for being here.
Libraries and museums and in all sorts of places. And our attempt was to try and find every painting of the Sikh done by a foreign artist. No. We then got into a process of, will you give them to us to exhibit? Right. And to be able to do that, you have to firstly spend a lot of money. Two, you've got to get the Indian government to guarantee return. And you've got to get into an enormous bureaucratic process to bring the originals. Trying to convince 70 institutions to give you their artworks to bring in India is pretty impossible. So we found the next best way out. We did what was called archival replication, which is replicating the artwork archivally, which is the finest process by which you can replicate the artwork. And the museums agreed to allow us to do that. So I was therefore able to go to a lot more paintings and bring them to you instead of trying to bring 3 or 4 originals.
Are there Emily's paintings?
Yes, you have 4 paintings by Emily Eden as soon as you walk in, yes. I will walk you around as soon as the press conference. There's one of Ranjit Singh, there's one of Hira Singh, there's one of the Akalis, there's one of Patiala.
This is the first time that such an exhibition with 80 works, 80 archival replicas, has most probably been put up in the world. We don't say the world because that's maybe stretching it, but we know it's true. But definitely for sure, not in Asia, not in Europe. This is the first time 80 paintings of the Sikh community have been put up like this under one roof.
So we've done an exhibition. The first exhibition we did in India was 2011, which was an American artist called Edwin Lloyd Weeks. We did it with the American Embassy, And I had seen his paintings in the US and other parts of the world, and he has painted India very exhaustively. So we worked with the American Embassy then to exhibit, I forget what, 40 or 50 of his artworks in India, 40. And by the way, he's painted the Golden Temple beautifully, and 2 of his paintings are exhibited as part of this. So it's our 3rd exhibition in India. In India, that doesn't get the opportunity to look at them. So I felt my responsibility was much more to put this in front of where majority of Sikhs live and the majority of Punjabs lives, rather than exhibit it to people who live abroad. We do it out of our own pockets, but that's why we do an exhibition every 4 or 5 years. And it takes a long time to collect them, to research them, to explain them, so we don't try and rush exhibitions, but yes, it does cost.
How do you try to gain funds in it?
I'm sorry?
How do you try to gain funds in this?
Well, we try and fund it ourselves largely. What we also do is at the end of the exhibitions, we generally try and have them placed in an institution which is open to people to see. So if these paintings, this is not the last time you'll see them. If we can house them appropriately, public will be able to walk in and see them over the next 20 years. So the answer to funding is we do it ourselves. You know, we do few, but we do it ourselves.
I'll elaborate on this. If he wants to teach Sikhs the black rules of Sikhism, so why not to show it to the students in English?
We are planning to do that with his permission.
Sure.
We are in dialogue with the Hubris Foundation to allow us to exhibit it more in the Punjab at the various places, like you say, so that people will see it, and therefore, if for the next 3 days people can't make it to Chandigarh, it's on tomorrow, day after, and till the 23rd, if they can't make it to Chandigarh, then we were going to take it to at least 4 or 5 cities, definitely in the Punjab. This is what we are talking to Mr. Srivastava about, where we would try and get maximum people to come and see them, even have it possibly in a place like in Virasat-e Khalsa, keep it on for a longer period of time so that there are a lot of footfalls there, people could come and see that, and they can get, encouraged by seeing all this, and therefore getting back to their, understanding their history and getting, and gaining from that, let's put it that way.
But your point is a valid one. We need to, going forward, as we do more and more exhibitions of this art, find a vehicle that makes it financially viable to continue. Till now, we've done it as amateurs, fund it ourselves, do research and present. But if we want to continue to do these exhibitions and show India its history in foreign places, we need to come up with a financial model.
And we're hoping that through the media today, this appeal goes all over, because you are the media that is read all over Punjab. So, at least definitely. So through your media, we are hoping that this message goes across, that at least the next 3 days should be chock-a-block full, at least in Chandigarh, we hope. Areas around Chandigarh, people must come here and
have a look
and make use of this, what the Hubris Foundation has given us.
Before I get carried by others, actually this last question. Sir, have Sikh-based movies helped you much in your initiative?
No, sir. My initiative has been researching Sikh history and looking for Sikh art.
No, Sikh bravery, like Kesari is one Sikh bravery movie.
I'm afraid, no, they haven't.
No, we started 8 years ago. We are ignorant about the moving picture art.
No, have they helped you out in gaining some of the attention of the Sikh people?
Not really.
I think everything helps. The Black Prince, when it was released, there was a resurgence, there was some kind of a feeling of history that was projected to the people in the Punjab. Yes, there were students got very happy. They suddenly realized, this was our past, which a lot of them have been unfortunately not taught of in our schools. This is something that we've taken up with the government. As you all know, recently also there was this little problem of the history textbooks. We've taken it up with the government. Hopefully the education board will now have history of the Punjab even in textbooks as it is supposed to be, so that everybody can peruse it.
No, but movie pictures on the Sikhs influence our research on the exhibition. I thought that was your question. Is that correct?
It influenced the legislature actually with other communities to know more of Sikhs on,
I'm sure it would have, but it did not influence our research for the exhibition.
not your research.
Okay.
I'm saying that people might have interacted with your exhibitions much more than, and they pay more attention towards the Sikhism and
We hope so.
We hope so.
We hope so.
Yeah.
We hope so.
We hope they'll come here more even after, because they will get,
not yet. That's what you're not saying.
No, we had very strong viewing in Delhi.
That's why we got
We had
it.
enormous viewing in Delhi. We had lots of interest. We had great press coverage. We had a lot of
I think the
appreciation.
lady from